Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a little while since my last video, but as you may know, I have been pretty busy, with starting a new job recently and everything, and so I was just kind of really focused on that at the moment, most recently. And however though, as you can probably tell by the title, I have some pretty bad news to break to you all today. So let's just get straight into it. There's a lot to unpack in this video, and I'm gonna try to go into as much detail as I can on what exactly happened. Personally, there's a lot to go through here. So last week, today is Friday, but last week, this will probably go up tomorrow or Sunday, so just be aware of that. So I started at this insurance agency, right, after getting my property and casualty license for my state, and I was working there for about a week and 1 day. That's it. That's pretty much all the chance that they were willing to give me. And I was really taken aback and just I was shocked. I was shocked when they decided to tell me on this Monday at the end of the day, when I was getting up to leave. The agency owner told me that they would walk me out, and the rest is history, right? So let's talk a little bit about my experience at this agency, and the reasons that they gave me for why they decided to let me go so quickly. Because it is very, very fast to let somebody go just after their first week, right? So my experience was mediocre at best. I thought that the agency owner was very experienced, and they'd been working in the industry for over a decade, and I really thought that if I just had the opportunity to be there and grow alongside her, that I could get to a very, very good place at the agency there. But unfortunately, they just did not even give me much of a chance. The first day and a half at least, I wasn't even able to, I didn't have access to be able to quote people or sell policies to anyone. So I really only had 1 week to try to meet their expectations, which weren't, they were telling me what they wanted me to work towards, which was they wanted me to try to make at least 100 dials, 100 phone calls each day, which is, it's a lot, but in 8 hours you can do that, right? So most people aren't picking up the phone. You're just leaving 10-second voicemails and whatnot, so that's totally doable. I didn't have many good leads, especially to start, and I really only had started getting to a good sizable amount of leads by the second week. They started passing me a lot more leads on my first day of the second week, and I actually had a great phone call with somebody on that first day of the second week, this Monday. I had a great phone call. I had a 30-minute long phone call. I quoted this guy's auto policy out completely. He couldn't stay on the phone much longer, so I emailed him the finalized quote, and that was it. I think that was my first good opportunity, and in that industry, right, it's kind of like trying to find a needle in a haystack every day. The goal was to talk to at least 4 people every day for longer than 10 minutes and quote 4 people and make 1 sale. That was the goal, right? But they never really said that, like, okay, you know, if you're not meeting that, like, the reason that they gave me for letting me go so fast was I had a low, or really like probably a 0% conversion rate, right? Which basically means out of the leads that you're calling up and talking to and whatnot, and you're reaching out to, how many of those are you ending up selling a policy to? Of course, I hadn't sold any policies yet, and which is, you know, totally, it's pretty expected given the amount of decent leads that I was handed in the first week. And you know, I was doing my best. I was making more phone calls than the other guy that worked there, the only other producer that worked there, and he was 2 months into his position there. And you know, I talked to him, and he said that he basically just got dumb lucky with getting his first sales, and I'm pretty sure that they were just comparing me to him. And then when they saw that I didn't make a sale in my first week, and I didn't make a sale my first day after quoting somebody out, like, they were just like, okay, this guy's not gonna work, which is just ridiculous, man. I can't believe how quickly they were just like, okay, well, you know, we're not seeing any sales from you, so goodbye, you know. It's totally unreasonable, especially when they are, like, their job postings are for entry-level insurance producers that don't require any real previous experience. And the training that I received was very unstructured. Like, my first day was probably, I didn't get on the phone, like, they put me on the phones on my first day for the last like 2 hours of the day, and I couldn't quote anybody, I couldn't do anything for anyone, but they were still having me call people, which was pretty odd, you know. There wasn't much I could have done even if I got somebody on the phone, and I had, you know, really not gotten in much training whatsoever. I was basically, it's hard to explain, but like, I received no farmers like training whatsoever. Oh, I mean, yeah, so the agency that I was working for was a farmers insurance independent agency, which it's probably fine to divulge. I don't think it matters at this point, but, and you know, I'm not going to say which person's agency it was, so that's probably it. You know, I'm not going to really open up about the specific agency I was working at, but yeah, and the thing is about the reason that they gave me, which was about the conversion rate that I had so far, was that they did not mention that once the whole time I was working there. I was not told that having, you know, no sales in my first week could put me on the chopping block immediately, and so they just never told me that, basically. It may have been on something that I signed, but I don't even remember signing anything after I started. So I really don't know what the deal was, but you know, they also said that, you know, so I wasn't hitting 4 10-minute calls each day. I was doing pretty good with the amount of dials I was making. I thought I was doing pretty well with that. And then, of course, like, I had a really good call with somebody my first day and my second week. Quoted somebody all the way out, pretty much all by myself. Not a whole lot of help from anybody there. I mean, you know, I don't know. I was expecting